They give us.
Okay, good.
All right.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. We are live, and as you can all see, I'm not sure how many viewers we have this week, but there is no Hacksmith with us this week, so this is going to be our first podcast without the Hacksmith. So please stay tuned in. We are just as interesting, just as awesome. The Hacksmith is. Are we allowed to disclose where he is right now?
He posted it on Instagram.
He's been posting guess where I am stuff. So if you don't follow the Hacksmith team on Instagram, you definitely should, because right now Ian and James are in Utah visiting another well-known YouTuber by the name of the King of Random. And they have a lot of great stuff on that channel too. You should check it out. So right now they're down there and we're here holding down the fort, and we figured we'd give a podcast a try without James, see if we can handle it. How many viewers do we have, Alex?
Not enough.
Well, tell your friends. So we're just going to have a bit of a roundtable discussion, talk about the business, talk about some trending stuff that's going on, and we'll see how this goes for. This week's video, yes. So if you haven't checked out this week's video, it's interesting. It's the God Sword from RuneScape. So I don't know. I definitely remember playing RuneScape as a kid. I think I was 13, 14, and I played RuneScape in school, like, all the time. I don't know. I was pretty addicted to it. It was so addicting, the first, like, MMO RPG online game. And we did a sponsored video with Jagex, the creators of RuneScape, to create a real-life version of the God Sword. So, do we have any footage to throw up of the video?
Sure.
Just to tease them? Maybe throw up the teaser.
Oh, damn, that's loud.
Yeah. But,
Give me a sec.
so, check out the teaser, and if you haven't watched the video, you definitely should.
Is it out already?
Oh, it was out since yesterday.
Yeah,
You should know these things.
I knew it was
Make
out.
It Reels are every Thursday at 4 o'clock.
So how was your day?
My day's been pretty good. That's interesting. Yes, thanks for that question. My day's been good. Our week has been quite different here. What's everyone working on this week right now? Dave, what have you been working on?
Stormbreaker and a leaf blower.
Oh, yes. We did some testing this week with the world's most powerful leaf blower. If you haven't watched our second latest shop updates tour vlog, we talk about a special battery partner that we got, and we turned and retrofitted that into the world's largest leaf blower with all these batteries powering one of our EDFs from the Flying Like Iron Man projects, and it's going to be a pretty awesome video. We were shooting some stuff with it yesterday. It was pretty fun. Elena, what have you been working on?
The video.
Oh, yeah, so here's the trailer for... But I would hope that everyone's already watched it already. But Elena, what have you been working on?
So I'm trying to finish a project. It's one of the weapons for a female character in Overwatch. Jordy and I wanted to empower women, you know, more female characters and whatnot. So we decided to take on this project. Jordy will be helping me with painting and making it look aesthetically pleasing.
And it's May's gun, right?
Yeah, so it shoots ice and freezes people, so hopefully I get to finish and be able to freeze some people.
Just in time for winter.
Yeah. Did you get that Discord message, Alex? Someone just said the audio's out of sync.
What?
Yeah. I just saw it pop up on your computer. Or on the computer here. I want people to be able to hear my beautiful voice at the time that I'm saying things. If I'm the new star here.
Can I have Mr. Pick?
You, Mr. Pickle. Okay. This is Pickle Rick, not Mr. Pickle.
Is it an actual, like, cartoon character?
Yeah. It's a very popular show that everyone should know and watch, and there's an episode where he turns himself into a pickle to get out of therapy.
What?
And it's awesome, so just watch it and don't have me ever explain it again.
And what do you have this?
Jordy brought it, but that's not important. Just watch it.
Okay.
Benjamin, we don't see Benjamin as often anymore, but Ben, what have you been working on here?
Over the past few weeks, I've been doing a lot on the spy car. I did a lot of the control system. There's been a lot of troubleshooting for that system. A little bit complicated, as I'm sure Dave can comment too. It doesn't always work, but I've kind of been troubleshooting and sorting that out for a while.
It's actually working pretty good now.
It is?
Yep.
Cool.
When the car is said and done, it's going to have a lot of stuff in it.
There's a capacity for 32 gadgets in the car.
Oh. And next Spy Car update video will be coming up next week. That is next week's video is the latest Spy Car update, which will be a pretty fun video. We took it to a park and did a fan meetup with a bunch of different fans and people who are interested and follow us on social media, and we let them test out this latest gadget. So follow us on social media if you do live anywhere in the Ontario region, and maybe you can be a part of a meetup as well. And then I guess just what I've been working on lately is just working on the Make It Real videos, trying to get them out on time and make sure they're in tip-top shape. Throw some comments down below if you guys think there's anything that we need to change about them, and I'll try and read them and not cry about it. So we've got some talking points for this podcast. We kind of wanted to have a round table type discussion of certain things that are going on. I don't know if... who here is a big gamer? So this is the worst time to bring up this topic. I don't know if anyone... Was it BlizzCon, Alex? That this happened at? BlizzCon?
I'm doing audio. What?
BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it was BlizzCon where they released the new Diablo, or they teased the new Diablo Immortal, which turned out to be a mobile game. And I guess for Diablo players, their fan base is mostly PC, and they were not happy about it. There literally are clips from the event of the presenters being booed on stage. It's pretty hilarious. And they get literally just jeered off stage and trolled the whole time. So it was pretty funny, but that's something they should have seen coming, I think for sure. But did anyone ever play Diablo? Any of the old Diablo games?
Never.
Come on, you guys. I don't even play that many video games, and I know what I'm talking about.
You play Diablo?
I did. I played the first Diablo and a bit of the second. I played a lot more video games when I was younger. I'm old now, so.
I never got the chance to play any video games growing up because my internet was really slow. I could barely watch any YouTube videos at the time.
And now you're here.
Yeah, but then I grew up without playing them, so I'm happy without playing them.
Why, you think that video games... There's actual...
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the evidence behind video games make you stupid is not sound. Video games don't make you dumb.
They make you think, but
Yeah,
then
they
it's
make
more
you
about
think.
getting addicted to it, maybe.
Yeah, there's definitely the addiction side of it. Like, I know people who are absurdly addicted to video games, and that's all they can do. Like, they just play till, like, 2, 3 in the morning. I think that there's an unhealthy aspect to it, but...
That is a bit extreme.
Yeah, but I don't agree with the argument of, like, video games make people violent. I don't see that as a thing. If anything, it helps get it out, vent your frustration on AIs. Next thing, I don't know, in YouTube news, if anyone's familiar with Defy Media, they are the YouTube, they're not a YouTube company, but they're a media company that owns popular channels like Smosh. What's another one, Alex? Alex, you don't know who did... well, they recently just filed for bankruptcy, and they were one of the biggest and most... They were hauling in tons of dollars in, not donations, but literally from investors and outside sources, and they were one of these big new media companies that were supposed to take over.
They had or have AWE, Me, Break, Clever...
Oh, so like Clever News would be a big one if anyone's familiar with Clever News, or it's like a form of e-news on YouTube that's quite popular. So I don't know all of the brands, but the big controversy surrounding them right now is though the YouTubers who were under their label never received the money that they were supposed to, and now the company has filed for bankruptcy. So it's a little shady in that regard, which is kind of why I'm happy that we are very independent of that, and we get to do things how we want. So that's a good way to go with this. What's the best thing about being part of a independent YouTube channel, Dave? I mean, or the worst thing, but let's start with good.
We get to call the shots.
Yeah.
You know, that's definitely the best thing. We don't have somebody standing over us telling us what we have to do, what we can and can't do. We get to listen to our fans and do the cool stuff that got us here.
Elena?
What Dave said.
What Dave said from a fresh perspective. Benjamin, what's the best
Totally
thing about...
agree.
Because you can just work on whatever project that...
Yeah, it's just kind of one less step of revision. Streamlines the process a little more.
A lot less red tape, I would say. And literally just go to the hacksmith with your concern, and he has final say over everything. It's quite brilliant. I mean, Ian, I guess. Aww. People are actually going to donate, and James isn't here?
Wow.
Is there a question?
No, it's just a guy from the Discord saying it's him. His name is...
Let's give him a shout out.
Something Niffler.
Something Niffler, thank you. How much was it for?
€5.
5 euros. Ooh.
How much is that in USD?
It's like $8.
Something right.
Let's just make sure.
I don't actually know. Don't take my. I don't have that type of instant math capabilities.
6.49 US.
Oh, that's so. I was so
US.
off.
Okay.
Oh, US. Okay, maybe not so off. I don't know what the Canadian dollar's at right now. Like 74 cents. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Something around there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the goal here at Hacksmith is, from everything that I know, is to expand while maintaining our independence. And that's one thing that we're always kind of trying to do. And it just, as long as we're in control of our content, it really helps establish us as a unique brand, and it allows us to have fun doing the things that we do and the projects that we want. So we're a little off the beaten path, and then when you hear stories like what's coming out of Defy Media, where you let a larger entity take over your brand and they can mess it up and you have no control over it, and now these creators are at a huge loss trying to get this money back from this company that just railroaded them. So it's nice to be answerable to no one. Next thing we have on the list here. China wants to launch fake moons to provide nightlight and save money on street electricity. That just sounds like there's a lot of easier ways to do things. Is it really that hard to put in streetlights?
I think it was more for the reduction in electrical usage and the resulting reduction in pollution. Sounds like an interesting idea. I mean, basically putting up mirrors in space to reflect sunlight so that the cities would be lit the equivalent of a bright full moon night.
Yeah, but how big does that have to be?
Actually, not that big. If you're only lighting up a city,
I think I heard about 50 meters.
Yeah. The big question was, what's it going to do to the ecosystem?
Mm-hmm.
Plants, animals, people.
Water levels.
Well, they're not going to be actual moons with mass-producing tidal surges. But, if they...
There's massive flooding because of these fake moons! As you can see, I'm no scientist or engineer.
So it was actually attempted on the Mir space station.
Right.
And I think they got about I don't know how big the mirror was on that, but I think they got about a 5-kilometer radius. It traveled at, I think I was reading 8 kilometers per hour. Seems pretty fast.
Yeah, that would be. That's, twice walking speed, or close to it.
So, it seems like, now, I don't know, I think I was also reading that they're trying to put these mirrors up at the same orbit as the space station.
Oh.
Which I think is farther up than Mir.
Okay.
So it would be moving faster, if I remember correctly.
Unless it's geostationary, but yeah, that's getting into science beyond my head.
That's all.
We're starting to meddle with stuff that we've got absolutely no experience in, and to start off on a large scale sounds a little bit scary to me. Let's do some small tests first and see how it goes.
Isn't that how innovation's supposed to work, instead of dumping a bunch of money and resources into an experiment?
Theoretically.
Theoretically, well. Netflix drops $2 billion on original show production. Is this one show, or... Alex? It's just in general, I was going to say, because, well, why would they drop $2 billion on one show? It'd have to be a great piece of TV. I don't know. I think Netflix's highest budget show right now is actually Marco Polo, which is interesting because it's definitely not their most popular, but I think they dumped like over $100 million into the first season of that show, and now they're gonna dump even more. I know that they're gonna start producing a lot more Canadian content here. I don't know how interesting that is for anybody else, but it's a pretty big deal for us here.
Yep. That
we're gonna have more shows and things like that popping up in the area. They film a lot of stuff actually in the area that we're based here. A lot of it's cheaper to film in Canada, and that's why they come up here. And we have a lot of old style architecture, things like that. Good locations to film at. It was filmed in this area. The new Pennywise Clown movie, which was an okay movie.
Wasn't that up in Toronto?
They shot it in Toronto. They shot it in KW, and they shot it in Guelph. So. It's pretty unique, actually. They filmed it in Elora as well, but not that anyone would know where any of these places are here. But I don't know. What types of shows would you guys like to see more of from Netflix? Because some of them are bombs. Like, they suck. But, like, what's your favorite Netflix show right now, Dave?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I have one right now. Anthony Bourdain Travels, I think it was.
Oh, that's it's a CNN show though.
Yeah.
Jordy
we're
was watching
watching it
that
on
show
Netflix,
quite a bit.
yeah.
Well, that's the Netflix is starting. I think that's part of the $2 billion investment is to shift away from licensing content and creating their own.
Yeah.
Elena, what's your favorite Netflix show?
For now, Suits.
Suits. See, I don't think Suits is a Netflix original either, though.
Oh.
No,
I don't know which ones are Netflix.
They usually say they really push their Netflix originals very
Black
heavily.
Mirror.
Black
Is
Mirror.
that Netflix original?
Is it? Is Black Mirror a Netflix original? Possibly now. I think
is.
season 3 is. I'm not sure. It
think
might have
it
had
is.
the Arrested Development effect where it was like on cable network and then it was taken over with Netflix. But Benjamin, what do you got to recommend?
I think Riverdale's Netflix original.
No, yeah, it's one of their most popular Netflix originals after like Stranger
Riverdale.
That's
Things.
the one that I love.
It's like 13 Reasons Why. Is it? Sort of?
No, they're quite different.
Riverdale is kind of like a tween show mixed with a murder mystery. I've only watched 2 episodes, but it was interesting. It's definitely not like I used to read the old Jughead comics and stuff and Archie, and it's not. It has nothing to do with that.
The names are the same.
Yeah, exactly. And they wear Letterman jackets. A really good Netflix show that I think it's been blown up in the news is, I don't know if people love horror, but The Haunting of Hill House is a really well edited, at least from an editor's perspective, the way that they edit this show in their flashbacks and back to present time is really awesome because they have just a lot of those really cool cuts where you walk through the door and then as you walk through the door it's 30 years later, or you look in the mirror and then there's the kind of push effect and you come back and it's the 30 years later, or certain scares will throw you back in time as well. It's not that scary of a show, but it was just really well produced and well edited, and it's got I think it's got a 99 on Rotten Tomatoes. That's the type of content that Netflix needs to make more of.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I know Ian and I were talking about, there's a show on Netflix called Norseman, where it's a Norwegian Netflix original about Vikings, but it's a comedy. So they just make fun of the Iron Age and things like that. So a lot of not pretty dark humor, but I thought it was pretty brilliant. Next, Samsung Foldable Phone. Benjamin, what are your thoughts on that? I've been hearing a lot about it. I haven't done a lot of research on it myself.
So right now, the prototype that they'd shown, it looks like it has a 3D printed case, which is actually, it's really good. It's a good use of the technology to get a product, or to get a prototype out there. As sure all you guys know, we use a lot of 3D printing here. But it looks like it's a really cool piece of technology, but we'll have to see what it comes out as a final product. See, there's a lot of details that I think they still have to work out, such as the bend radius of the screen. If that gets too tight, then it is at risk of damaging it. But we'll see what they actually come out with the actual technology, but I think it's a promising look. And there's a bunch of other companies that have also announced.
Can we throw a video or picture of the Samsung, the new Samsungs? Because I kind of know what they look like, but I've only seen them in someone's hand in a medium shot of a video. So
That's really all that they have.
yeah,
There's some pictures,
yeah.
but
I just hope these ones don't explode.
Oh,
They look like the old school. Oh,
I think that aspect ratio would be a little weird.
that
Take a
does
little while to
seem
get
weird.
used to.
It's kind of chunky almost.
Yeah. Well, so that's just an initial prototype.
Did they just release this at their own thing, or was this at a trade show
No, that was there.
at the
That was
big Samsung
SDC.
conference? Is CES the next big one? CES is in February.
I don't follow.
I try not to. I went to CES once. It was actually quite an interesting experience. Anyone is in the Vegas area, you should definitely check out that show. It's just the most crazy technologies they release. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on a foldable phone, Elena?
I don't know. Depends.
Why did it sounded louder almost?
Is there a question with that?
Yeah. Question. Give us content. There's no question with that, Alex.
I think he's ignoring me.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, fine. You're lost. You're allowed to ask a question, but No one wants our answers anyways.
So a foldable phone.
There's potential in the future to make it.
That one said, last one, put it to good use.
What?
We will. We'll use it to feed Riley.
Okay.
Feed Riley for 5 days.
Oh, can we? $5? Yeah, $5
$1 a day
feed
for
Riley.
Riley.
$1 a day?
Yeah, he lives off 1 Kit Kat a day.
Oh, speaking of that, did you see that video of a guy who survives in New York for 7 days on maximum $1 per day?
No.
With tax.
Where does he sleep in the streets?
Obviously, current living and everything's excluded, like
Yeah.
food,
Oh,
entertainment.
okay, so he still
stuff
goes
like that.
home.
Okay, so it's
Alright.
like. Wait, so does he not?
He just eats on $1 a day, basically, like sustains himself.
Crashes parties, crashes weddings, gets samples.
The smart goes to a good thing to do is go to house viewings.
Or,
Normally they have
like,
pretty good
restaurant
spreads
grand
there.
openings and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
That's so much effort.
Well, it's near New York City too, so you can stuff everywhere. Yeah. Live as a minimalist.
Well,
don't
you
think I
can
could
go
do
to
it.
another country and spend only $1 a day.
Yeah, but
and
then you
can
gotta
get,
pay to
like-
get to that country.
It's excluded. Didn't you hear?
No, not. It wouldn't be if I tried to do it. Then I can't go to the airport ticket guest and go, no, I'm trying to live as a minimalist. The flight is excluded. Like, sir, you don't even have a ticket. Go away.
Just to get on one of those boats with a lot of strange people, and then.
Those tickets cost more than $1.
Really?
Now, it may be $1 a day over the length of the trip, but
Maybe. I don't know.
Do we have any user questions that are about the business or worth answering over there?
Some guy said that's a good concept. Apparently that simple as a pound. I got it wrong last time. 1 pound a day keeps the doctor away, obviously. And let's see. Oh, James is in the chat. He's replying to stuff.
Hi.
James is in the chat, so he's watching what we're doing right now.
He's always
Watch your
watching.
back.
Yeah. So the hacksmith is with us, everyone. Just
Stalking you.
yeah,
Virtually.
via phone. Well, he's always watching us.
That means he can answer the questions on the text,
Yeah. So what do we do? So we can get up.
so we can talk to him.
So we can go, guys. Job's done.
oh, we had our job there.
I don't know. Does anyone? What would be? What I'm kind of curious about, because this is going to be my first winter here on the team, is what's a good winter project that we should tackle, Dave, as the veteran of the force here?
Winter projects.
Because we did the snowplow was a really fun one.
That was?
If anyone hasn't seen that video, you should definitely go check it out. It's
I'm
pretty hilarious.
still trying to convince them that we should have the spy car in here so I can work on it all winter. But I'm getting some pushback on that.
But it was here all summer.
I know.
It could be moved easily in the summer.
It's
In the
perfect
summer
for
it
viewing
can be.
videos.
Yeah.
We just sit in the MG and review videos.
But only fits 2 people. That's so space inefficient.
Give Dave enough time, he can make it fit more.
Yeah.
Add
We
more-
put in an ejector seat. We can put it inside a sidecar. That would be fun. I'd sit in the sidecar.
That would be different.
It would probably
Spy
still be
car.
narrower than an actual car at that
It
point.
still comes out. That'd be a decent spy car upgrade.
one that
Foldable.
shoots out a seed out of nowhere. Okay.
It just gets you a little sidecar so you can be not an assistant, but a sidekick.
Nice socks. Who's that guy?
Thank you. That is Mike Babcock, the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He is there's a company called Bab Socks that they make socks with his face on them.
Show it.
What? You want me to show it? They're wonderful socks. It's actually a hilarious company.
I have funny socks too.
Oh, who has the funniest socks then?
It's a.
Legs up!
Oh my god. How do you?
Ooh.
It has 2 fingers. See? And then it's.
Well,
a
you gotta show
Jap-
the camera, Elena.
Oh my god.
There we go.
Okay. Here's the. It's a Japanese guy. And it has 2 fingers for flip flops.
Oh, we should trade.
Flip-flop socks.
Yeah, it's a flip flop socks.
That's
Japanese
novel.
That's
people
where they wear
need
flip flops.
that.
Yeah. See, I don't like flip flops where they have the toe, where you like your big toe is separated from everything else. I like the ones you can just slide into. If we're gonna really get into the flip flop game, I like Birks too. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, so there was a super chat, but he didn't put $5. For some reason, he thought he was special, and he put $4.99.
Oh.
That's a manual entry, so it's lost. So no horn. However, the question was, what is your favorite Marvel weapon and why? And that's from Tanner Tech.
From who, sorry?
Some guy named Tanner Tech.
Tanner Tech, favorite Marvel weapon and why? Dave, you can start, because I can't think of it off the top of my head. But
Thanks.
now they're all coming to me.
You know, Iron Man suit.
Which edition out of the 45 mark?
You
How many
know,
does he have?
I think it's 50 at least.
Yeah.
Elena?
You have to pick.
Well,
Ah. That's not a real answer, Elena.
There's no question with that one.
so my first choice would be the Iron Man suit, because you can fly with it. But
They've already picked that one, so it's not valid. Pick another one.
Fine. I'll pick the Thor's hammer, just because I can call it wherever I am. If, like, I'm sitting here and then Evan's, like, being annoying.
If you're worthy enough. It won't come to you if you're not worthy enough.
Fine, but I still like it, because, like,
You
if
have to
I
be-
was Thor,
you
I
have to
could
be a
call
full
it.
you have to be a full engineer in order to wield the hammer.
Oh, okay, I gotta wait, like, one more turn.
Yeah.
And then get my Iron Ring. But if we can make it fly, that'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin?
I would probably say the Black Widow tasers.
That's what you would pick.
Yeah.
You have the whole universe at your disposal of the MCU to choose weapons. I mean,
Ben,
I don't know.
Ben, just look behind you.
You know what one I
Evan,
would
be
choose
quiet.
though? There's no Quiet Stone. I think the Green Goblin Glider would actually be the most awesome like thing to just have. From the very first Spider-Man, with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, where that glider just kind of seemed like it was something that could actually be done, and it looked way too fun. All right, I'll take this.
Yeah, get that out of there.
He's got the pickle. You can't put it on backwards though.
Okay.
Yes. Ah, that doesn't lock it. Yes, what would you guys say? Oh, I was about to say, what do you guys think is the most powerful weapon in the MCU? Dumb question.
That's not true, though.
What? Is there more powerful things in the MCU?
Yeah, let me search.
I keep hearing rumors about Galactus coming to the MCU, which I get very excited about that, because Galactus is the coolest character ever. And they screwed him up so bad, and if anyone's seen the second Fantastic Four movie, Galactus, who is the coolest Marvel villain ever, is a cloud of smoke. Like the creature from Lost, and it tries to just eat the planet. They really bunged up on that one. I'd love to see a redo of the Silver Surfer storyline to actually do justice to an awesome character. Maybe eventually they'll do that, but so far they haven't done anything to tie in. Like, Fantastic Four has just been such a fail every time they've tried to do it. I don't know if Sony still owns the rights to Fantastic Four. Is that what it is? Because those were all Sony movies. The Michael B. Jordan one, everything. Oh, we've already gone through the topics. I don't...
So James just paid himself $5.
Wait a minute.
Oh, no. Is there...
They paid both, so it's here. I'll give him a second one. That one was from Ian.
So now they're just going to
Thanks,
troll
guys.
us.
Wait.
We're trying to do our jobs!
So if they pay, do they have?
Stop
James
this!
again.
Don't they have to pay taxes for this?
Yes, they lose money.
So you're paying like a couple cents to make us suffer.
To make us suffer. To make
So
me
Ian
suffer.
said, "Pull Evan's arm hair out."
Come on.
That's,
It was requested.
that's,
Give me your arm.
How is this allowed at an actual established company?
So everyone has to do it once, right? So you do it first.
No.
You can
Who
go.
has their phone for a podcast?
I do.
Oh, David.
Come on. You gotta pull this arm hair.
Apparently this is a...
James is wasting money still.
There you go.
Okay.
Elena
So
actually is
what
going
you
to whip
do
it out.
is you pinch a bunch so that when you pull it off, you can
Oh.
at least pull one. See, I got one.
How do you want them? Dave, I'm
Dave
just gonna...
wants
I was gonna say, I'm gonna accept the fact that Dave doesn't want to pull arm hair. And we can move on unless the bosses are giving us other
They
instructions.
paid like 3 times, so you gotta pull it 3 times.
No, this isn't what this is not what we're doing.
Now show me your legs.
No. This is getting raunchy.
Guess who?
Ian.
No.
James.
Uh-huh. And?
And now we have a question. What is your favorite Infinity Stone? And then the person says, mine is the Reality Stone. And that was from Necron Cell.
Necron Cell?
We'll do that one first.
I think, yeah, I might agree with him about the Reality Stone, because as far as, like, the Mind Stone, I don't really get what it does. They just talk about how it's something crazy, or they didn't, like, some of the stones just weren't fleshed out enough, like the Soul Stone as well. I didn't really, I mean, yeah, you have to trade one life for the Soul Stone or something, but it just didn't, it wasn't fleshed out as much as the Reality Stone was as far as what it could do, and then something like the Space Stone was really established as far as how long it's been in the MCU. Oh my god.
That was James, he said more arm hair, but go on.
Gotta upgrade. Upgrade.
So, but what do you...
That's you.
Okay, I
It's
know the
light.
answer to this question, but what would you guys say is the stone that he uses the most in the movie?
I actually haven't watched the movie.
Okay, you work here.
Controversial
Okay,
opinion.
so during my interview, I told them that I don't know much about superheroes. So I hope this, doesn't affect my interview.
Your interview.
And then they were like, "You're fired right away." I'm still here, so.
Controversial opinion. We don't know how many times he actually used the Time Stone.
That's... Oh... Jeez, Ben could be right. That's the problem with time travel.
Doesn't
But
work.
the answer is... Sorry, Dave, do you have...
Honestly, time, yeah.
No, the one
was my
uses... Well, so that... Now we've just opened it up to an entirely new realm of possibilities because I don't actually know, but he uses... It's the Power Stone when he's fighting, obviously.
Is it
Because
though?
it's the one he has first, too.
Bad news for Elena. You're fired.
I just waste money to say that. Yes, Elena's gone.
One of my jobs every day is to come and make sure Evan works, because I sit beside him. So I also, make sure he's awake and shake him and whatnot, so...
Shake it off. Okay.
it's not anymore.
Okay, so the other super chat question was, what is your favorite pastime in the shop?
Pastime in the shop. Ooh. I would say possibly Beat Saber. We haven't played it in a while, but Beat Saber's pretty fun. Or just burning stuff in the backyard is pretty fun.
Fire extinguisher.
Oh, yeah. Dave loves his fire extinguisher.
I don't know. I don't think I've been here long enough. But
Pulling
I guess
out other coworkers' hair.
sitting beside Evan and pestering him. Yeah, sounds about right.
I enjoy riding the one wheel. I do that way too much.
Yeah. When we went to the track to film the jet bike video, which is also a video that everyone should go watch, Ben literally just spent the day doing camcorder shots on the one wheel.
On the drag strip.
On a drag strip.
The question,
Well-
why would you burn stuff?
Oh, cardboard. Things like that.
What? Why? Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why wouldn't you burn stuff? I'm not normally the one who burns stuff. Normally it's Owen just out there by himself or Riley tending a fire.
So, funny story, I went to fill in one of our extinguisher tanks, and then when I got there, I wanted to refill my CO2 tank, and they were like, what do you use this for? I'm like, putting out fires? And then they're like, oh, what do you do? I was trying so hard not to sound illegal, so that they would not reject my
Report.
request.
How many fires you putting out? 2-3 a day.
And then the tank I took was really used up, and the hose was like with tape in it, and then they were looking at me. Really
It's like at the pharmacy where they're like, God, this person just keeps coming back to refill their prescription. This lady just keeps coming back to refill her fire extinguisher. We don't know what's wrong with her.
Yep.
Dave? Your favorite pastime?
You already answered.
Yeah, the fire.
sorry.
Using
Fire.
fire
Oh, yes,
extinguisher.
sorry. We went through that.
Because, there's other kind of mayhem going on that requires the use of the fire extinguisher.
Yeah, sometimes the mayhem can be, I wouldn't call it a hindrance, but a distraction. But I would never say that on a live
As long as
stream.
it's caught on camera. That's the important thing.
Sometimes,
catch it on camera.
Sometimes it just scares me.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe the
People like
person in the
scaring me
shop.
at the office. Ford has decided that they are going to test fully autonomous vehicles and release them by 2021. What is everyone's thoughts on that? I am personally wary of self-driving vehicles. I also like to drive, so I like to be behind the wheel. It's something like I'll get bored in a car too easily.
Is it gonna be legal?
By 2021? Maybe.
So does that mean I can nap while my car is driving?
Mm-hmm.
With level 4 automation, yes. I don't know what level they're talking about, but...
Okay.
But we are...
It's Ford, so...
I don't know. I know a Renault has a level 4 automation car. But in the Waterloo region, we do hand out permits of some variety for testing self-driving cars in this area. So we could see them here before other places.
I was just targeted for a dealership in Cambridge that sells... that they were advertising this, not full self-driving, but enough of it, and it was for a dealership in the region, which was interesting.
That's probably not even self-driving.
No, it wasn't.
Probably just lane keeping and adaptive.
Well, I've driven lane keeping trucks before, and they're pretty awesome actually. But this one I think had a little bit more to it. But
Well, I ride a motorcycle for 8-9 months out of the year, so we can get some of the not so good drivers off the road, or at least from behind the wheel. I'm all for it.
mm-hmm.
You know, there are some people who would be much better off sitting in the back seat texting rather than sitting behind the wheel and texting. And I see it every day.
Yeah, I would advocate that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And definitely, yeah, there are a lot of bad drivers out on the roads.
My big question is, who will be accepting the legal liability when accidents do occur?
That's the
Let's
thing,
not
because the
even call them
companies aren't going to
accidents.
want to.
Yeah. I mean, technically, they won't even be accidents. They will be collisions.
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to be responsible? Is it the self-driving vehicle? Or is it going to be the motorist? Or is it going to be the driver who wasn't driving the car? I don't know.
Yeah, whoever owns the car for not ensuring that it is operating properly.
The insurance for these type of vehicles will probably go up by
At
much.
first, I would imagine so.
Or
yeah.
maybe it's going to go down because they're going to be that good and no accidents. I don't know.
So, I forget who said this, but you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be better than what there is right now. But the problem is still, as you said, what happens when there is a problem.
And there will be ethical dilemmas as well because, eventually there's going to be a situation where the car is going to have to make a decision between hitting grandma crossing the street or going head-on with another vehicle or, someone pushing a baby carriage.
Yeah. What's the risk assessment going to be in the car's mind?
And, it's an ethical dilemma, but someone's going to have to pre-decide that because it has to be programmed into the system.
What do I press to turn the AC off?
I think...
Thermostat up there, turn it down.
This is going to turn off right away.
No. Yeah, there's going to be some tough questions that have to be asked and answered for autonomous vehicles.
I think there's going to be a whole sort of almost Luddite-style revolution about this stuff. People are really... There's going to be a huge... Once it starts to get put into actual, mass production or mass use, there will be a huge backlash to this type of stuff, especially from people like truckers and all that in the industry. It's just... literally going to be Luddite smashing machines in the Industrial Revolution, I think.
I have friends who are truck drivers and that have very, very good driving records, and they are the first ones to say that truck drivers are some of the worst drivers on the road.
Yep. Well, you look at all the accidents and stuff like that, but also, I've talked about people with this before. A smaller vehicle can get in the way of a truck and cause a giant accident as a small vehicle because they've messed up a transport truck or something like that, and you just see those horrendous pictures and things like that from those huge highway crashes. So if that will help eliminate the risk of those types of crashes, I'm all for those types of vehicles. But then there's the whole thing of how many people are put out of work and where do they go. And
another concern, especially for us who enjoy driving, is at some point the human drivers will become the risk.
Yeah.
When
because we're unpredictable.
When 60-70% of self-driving cars
it'll become enforced. You won't be allowed to drive.
Yes.
You'll have to take your car to a track. You'll have to take your 2011 Accord to a track to use it.
Who knows when that'll happen? That could be long.
I hope it's long way.
But
I'm just not totally ready for that yet.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen in my lifetime, but it just can take its time. We don't need to be there yet, is basically my thoughts on it. Like 2021, that'll come up pretty fast.
So the concern is self-driving is safe, but like, what about taking control of someone else's car because of that? So like hacking cars and just whee.
Well, there have been a number of instances of that already. I believe it was Jeeps had issues where they were controllable over the internet. And it was not difficult to find them and take control of them. And you could take over 100% control of the vehicle. You could lock the doors, keep them locked, throttle, steering, brakes, full control. But of course, you can't see where the vehicle's going. You can just take control of it. So there were some very hasty software updates to resolve that issue.
With bugs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah.
I grew up with old school cars where you had a direct connection between the steering wheel and the front tires. And I don't like drive-by-wire in any shape or form.
Is it because you feel disconnected when driving?
Yeah.
Is that why you drive a bike so often?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in control. Right or wrong, I'm in control.
Yeah.
And I have to accept responsibility for that.
But our generation has grown up without knowing that at all. I would say, like, I don't know, when does millennial end at? But, like, for sure, people who were born in my generation have never known that. Or the 90s babies, they would never know because we never drove. And, yeah, maybe, I don't, James is 20, he's a little bit older. Yeah, so I won't say it out loud, but even that age group still has never really known that to an extent.
Yep.
Since like 2008, it's been pretty much.
Even simple things these days, like drive-by-wire throttle. The computer is guessing, interpreting something, my inputs, and deciding what to do based on that. It's not doing what I told it to do. It's deciding what to do based on my inputs and what it thinks it should do. And, you know, another human being's programmed it, plus adaptive learning on top of that. But I'm not a half-bad driver.
You trust yourself and your knowledge of your vehicle?
There are times when I want the vehicle to do what I tell it to do, right or wrong. I don't want the traction control interfering. Maybe I wanted the car to drift sideways because I'm trying to avoid an obstacle in the road.
Mm-hmm.
But drive-by-wire and traction control will prevent me from doing what I wanted to do. So I've had to relearn how to drive cars.
That's a scary thing. Like, what was it? Someone I know had the auto brake assist in their car, but it was not working properly and continuously censoring that there was something in front of it when there wasn't. So it would just brake on her automatically, which is terrifying of what that can do. And you don't really know what to do about that because you have no control. And they literally took it to a dealership or a repair shop, and they said they wouldn't let her get back in. You can't drive this car anymore.
Yeah, the vehicle's unfit to be driven.
But that was
for
one of those
good
new
reason.
features that, and I think the car was 2 weeks old. So, like, that's concerning, to say the least.
For what Dave said, I even dislike driving automatic transmissions. Because it's a little wet, it's a little slippery. You step on the gas, so how many times is it going to downshift? 2, 3? How much torque is it going to have when it's done? Are you going to just give a little bit more gas and find yourself sideways?
Yep.
Never really know.
Exactly.
So, question.
Super chat?
No, it's just a regular question.
All right.
Do you guys like D&D?
It's
kind of old.
I used to play a lot. I used to play D&D minis. It was a different style of Dungeons and Dragons where you would almost it was a board-based battle game where you had your characters, your figurines that you would paint and everything like that, but the object was not that you had one character to get to a point, it was to eliminate all the other players on the board. It was really interesting game. I used to play it tons. I think I might still have the figurines, but now I play more games like... We play Settlers as a team quite a bit, and I would love to get everyone to play... There's a wonderful board game called Ticket to Ride where you build trains, and
I think we've played
it
that
is
before.
really fun. It is so addictive. But I hadn't played Settlers until I started working here, so it was a new experience for me. But as far as D&D, that's a game I haven't heard of in a long time.
I played it about a year ago, a couple of buddies, but kind of fell through.
I've known people who will just create their own zombie apocalypse. They'll do everything themselves. Like, you make up your rules in D&D, correct? To an extent.
Not
I don't
really.
understand the
Not
whole
really.
build of it, but I know people who have done like zombie apocalypse D&D, which just sounds actually kind of cool. But what about you guys? You ever play, Elena?
She didn't know what it was until I told her a
Yeah,
couple
I
seconds
heard
ago.
whisper over. I just wanted to put her on the spot.
The most I played when I was a kid was Monopoly and
That's not the question.
Uno.
Uno.
So I don't
Everybody
know.
Uno. Everybody play. That's the theme for Uno.
Okay.
Question for mostly Dave right now is, how goes the spy car?
Progress has slowed on it at this point. We have one video still to come out.
Yep. Next week.
And I've got a fairly long task list. It's just a matter of getting to it after a few other projects are taken care of.
Was that James? Did you get bored and go on to something else?
Did you run out of money, James? Is that why?
That's not a
So,
good thing for
the
us.
question is, after the spy car, what type of vehicle from fiction would each of you like to try to make? So it's kind of like an open question.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna let
Yeah.
Dave go for that one.
Well, I've always had a fascination with the power loader from the movie Aliens. Basically a wearable forklift, if you will. And yeah, I'd like to work on something like that.
Elena?
I don't really know. I haven't seen much vehicles in movies.
What?
But, I mean, like, I don't really pay much attention to them. But I know there was this one where, like, you're driving a car and then the wheels sort of, like, bend downwards so that it's, you know...
Back to the Future DeLorean.
I don't know.
Or like the
But-
one from the newer,
What, Ready Player One?
that movie.
Kingsman?
Kingsman. Oh. Which vehicle are you talking about?
From the second one, when he goes underwater.
Oh, yeah.
At the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So that was very similar to the old James Bond car that converts into a submarine.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like an all glass submarine though.
All glass.
But they have it. It's like in the movie, the cartoon Atlantis. The submarines are so cool. They have like 3 heads, but the submarines are from like 1915 apparently or something like that. It's been a long time since I saw that movie, but I think an all glass submarine would be pretty sweet. Ben.
So when I was volunteering last summer, I did a bit of work on the Batman Baja, which I know has been put to rest for now because of speed controller issues.
Nothing's ever to rest here.
I feel like it'd be fun to start working on that again, but it may not work out.
Yeah, that could definitely be an interesting project to keep working on.
But we are going to have some new vehicle videos. It's actually, we got our first snow today. I think there's still snow on the ground, so vehicle missions and projects may not happen as much until the spring. I could be wrong if we do some winter-specific ones.
Vehicle
but
projects also take a little longer.
yeah,
in general,
they do.
so.
So, and they take up a lot more space as well.
Mhm.
And then one thing we deal with here is space utilization.
I mean, we need a lift. We need a car lift.
That could be interesting.
What about building? Well, that's science fiction. Some guys like build a Stargate from Stargate.
Yeah,
Good luck with that.
build the entire network. Okay.
Could be done. Our power grids need to be redone anyways, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Any more chat questions, or I've burned through my knowledge of the topics that we've listed?
Well, here. If a zombie apocalypse happens, or World War III, do you think you would be prepared?
For World War III, I'd probably have to go fight, so no. I think.
Well, that all depends on which World War III, because if it's nuclear...
I'm not going anywhere, I'm dying.
Yeah. Well, unless you can stay underground for about a month. After that point,
do we have a bunker? It'd be nice to have a bunker here.
We should do a Colin First style bunker.
Yeah. Have to check the water table first. I'd hate to have an underground swimming pool.
Ew. Elena. Elena's not from Canada, so she would have a very different, not perspective, but experience in World War III.
So, what exactly is the question? Like, where would I go?
No, are you prepared for any of this?
Are you prepared for it? You think it'd be easier to fight zombies in Panama or Canada? Of any list I see, Canada is always one of the highest rated places to survive the zombie
really?
apocalypse.
But there's more land.
Well, exactly. There's more places to go to hide.
And fewer people.
Yeah.
So fewer zombies. And supposedly zombies don't like cold weather.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Okay.
You'd have to head north.
It'd be cold.
Alex,
I think here is cold enough.
I got a text from someone saying audio is still out of sync. But
I don't think I'm prepared.
My watch
for it.
doesn't get messages.
you aren't special.
Mine just tells the
Someone
date.
can refresh their page.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to live through a zombie apocalypse. If that's what the world's coming to, I'm just going to call it quits anyways. I've had this discussion with many people before. I really don't care to live through a zombie apocalypse.
If there was a zombie apocalypse, is there really any way of getting better? Like,
I wouldn't, even if there was, I wouldn't stick around to figure it out. I'm out of here. But it would be fun for a bit.
to shoot zombies?
No, I wouldn't let the zombies get close.
Okay, so what does the Hacksmith team think about nuclear fusion?
So, that's maybe not a good thing for me to dive into. I think we should do tons more research into nuclear. When you think, like, I know France is 90% nuclear power right now, and they're pretty much energy independent.
Well,
and then you look...
That's still fission. That's not fusion.
Okay, so there we go.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, because there's fission and fusion. I'm looking at the difference.
I think they've done fusion in a lab, but I might be wrong.
I seem to recall reading something about that, but it was very difficult to establish it, and it didn't produce any usable energy. So
Fission works for now.
I don't like the styles of reactors that we're using. We don't need another Fukushima.
But Fukushima didn't even do as much damage as people think. It did.
As people are aware of. It's still an ongoing problem.
Yeah. Well, just like Chernobyl is still an ongoing problem.
No. When I say it's an ongoing problem, I mean that
leaking?
It's still leaking. They have not been able to shut it down or contain it.
Huh.
There's been a great lack of discussion and a great lack of progress on it.
So Godzilla soon?
Yeah, then what is the Japanese government doing?
As much as they physically can, but when you send remote equipment into the reactors and they last minutes...
You're not sending folks in there, no?
No. No, I mean, a person might last an hour, but they're dead.
Yeah.
There aren't too many people volunteering to go in there.
Nope.
Yeah, so they're just in active containment right now, is my understanding. So
our reactors here aren't optimal. The reactor design here isn't perfect.
I've heard there is another designer reactor out there that will actually run on the waste byproducts of our current reactors and reduce down to virtually nothing.
Even just the little intricacies like the control rods. If I remember correctly, now this might have been fixed. There's some problems where they can get stuck occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
I think our reactors here have some intricacy problems.
Well, the Canadian designed reactors, from what I understand, they have to work non-stop to keep them running because they're actually designed in such a way that if anything goes wrong, they shut down. So it's a constant struggle for the operators to keep the reactors operating. So many fail-safes were put into the very basic design of the reactors. But it's my understanding also that there is another design of reactor out there that's currently not in use. I think thorium, but I could be wrong. It's a completely different design reactor, and it's exceptionally clean. So
I just think there needs to be more investment in research into nuclear. I think nuclear just scares people too much. But I see the benefits from it way more than I see the benefits from even like solar and wind at this point.
So theoretically, if we look at fusion as a concept, it doesn't produce basically any byproducts, and it does become a self-sustaining reaction once they get it running properly. So fusion is better than fission, but we still don't have a fusion reactor, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah. I would just like to see the existing reactors or the new ones that they're going to be building are designed to be self-reliant. The current design where the reactors need an outside power source to operate just seems like a flawed design, because that's ultimately what took down Fukushima, was their external power was cut and their diesel generators were affected by all the water and they couldn't cool themselves, so they melted down. It seems strange that you've got a massive piece of equipment to generate effectively electricity that requires external electricity to operate safely.
I think that happens more often than you'd think, that you're just using fossil fuels or anything to power something that you think is a renewable source.
So last time Dave wasn't here and Ben wasn't here, so the question came up against, like, in the zombie apocalypse, which one of the weapons out of the projects would you use? Well, Elena and Evan already answered, but you could say it again.
I don't remember what I said. The Fortnite slicer, maybe? Because it's wieldable. I think this is actually when I did say that I wouldn't live through the zombie apocalypse, so that's my answer. What about
So
you?
I told Ben that
I don't remember this, but okay.
I told Ben that because he wasn't here before and he hasn't seen our podcast, but every time someone new is in the podcast, they have to do the chicken dance in the middle of the podcast, and then sit down.
What? This is just out of left field, lady. I mean, I did a cartwheel one podcast.
You have to play along. He doesn't know.
Pranks go better if you tell everybody first, except for the target.
Yeah, I really ousted. Ben, can you do the chicken dance, please?
No.
Okay. Well,
So going back to the weapons,
Question.
I would probably pick this
kill one
if,
zombie, man.
if it was easier to load.
Well, but it's not. So you kill
Yes.
one zombie and you die. I live longer than you. Dave, weapon.
Yeah.
The spy car so you can drive away.
Well, eventually I'm going to run out of gas. So I kind of like your idea of the slicer.
Yeah,
Even once the battery's dead, you can still turn it around and use that very lovely sharp edge.
exactly.
And yes, it is wieldable. That is a big issue with some of the things that we've made. You build them to scale and all of a sudden they become very heavy.
But in the games, they're so easy to wield.
They are. Zarya's cannon looks like it would be very wieldable. However, it takes, what, 2 of us to wield it?
Two to comfortably lift it.
Yeah.
One can do it
So-
for a short amount of time.
You also
Yep.
have to think about which version of zombies are you talking about. Like, if you do the Tom Cruise movie World War Z version, where the zombies run at like 60 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the I Am Legend zombies. Like, that's insane. You lose every time. But if they're like Walking Dead or
Yeah, weren't they in Walking Dead? Didn't they say that because they're malnourished over time, they become very soft, and even with a baseball bat, you could cut them through like a sword?
I've never. Yeah, I think that is. I mean, that makes sense.
Malnourished.
Like the bones start breaking down, and they just
Oh.
basically, even though they're quote unquote alive, they're still like you whack them and they fall apart.
Yep.
So,
That doesn't make any sense.
What do you
They're
mean?
dead.
They still need sustenance. Why
so
are
does that
zombies
mean-
always hungry
Does that
then?
mean if we leave them alone, they'll eventually die on their own?
Yeah, but they'll keep following us.
Okay, but they already died. Why would they die again? You know?
You hit them with a baseball bat.
Okay.
Super chat.
Oh, somebody's saying like, can you make stuff to go to Mars?
I'm not qualified to answer that question.
We're
No.
gonna definitely have to lighten up our stuff. We're going to try and send it to space.
Yeah, let's plasma cut ourselves a little spacesuit here.
At a 1/4-inch plate steel. Yeah.
Didn't
I think
they
that's
find,
more for
like,
going back in time.
Didn't they find some alive creature or something? Or
On Mars, that would have
They
been.
found bacteria.
Oh, back. I was gonna say they found like something, but
Not like an animal.
they found actual Martians from Mars Attacks. They're the exact same. They even talk the same. It's a
Lovely.
great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have the clean facilities to make anything space grade.
What are you talking about? I swept the other day.
I think it's funny how spotlessly clean they try and make everything for the space stuff. And then they put it out into the dirty atmosphere and launch it into space on dirty rockets. And there's all kinds of dirt flying through space.
Well, space isn't too bad. Space is pretty empty.
Space dirt.
I heard that we got tons of trash in orbit.
Large stuff.
And micro fragments, too.
Do we?
Yeah. When the large stuff hits other large stuff, it makes small stuff.
I heard it was like 10 atoms per cubic meter. It was kind of the average in empty space.
Okay.
Sounds like nothing.
I think Dave is talking about the space
Yeah.
that's
That might be
close to our atmosphere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's this week's episode. We're sorry we didn't have an episode last week, but keep tuning in. Are we going to be doing these mostly still on Thursdays? This was an anomaly because of
James and Ian. Right?
James and Ian who are away. If you guys like the podcast without them, let us know so we can kick them out and take over this for ourselves. We'll try and have a special guest, Riley, on one episode soon. Jordy will probably be back for another one, but I mean, if this is the dream team for podcasts, we could just keep it this way. Pick you up from school, Ben.
The plan is to, after the release of a video, we kind of sit down. We also talk about the video, maybe some stuff here and there.
So we
I'll see. Actually, we could probably even work in some
should
nice
do 4:30 then.
cutouts out of the video. Maybe some stuff that we didn't put in.
Yeah.
Probably even show it on here.
I do normally save those types of best clips for future use for social or for vlogs and stuff because I mean we shoot a lot of stuff. So like a RuneScape video was 21 minutes. That's you would not believe how much work and time and footage there is of that. So there's always lots of other stuff going on behind the scenes of the videos. So we just gotta start curating a bit more of that, and maybe we'll treat some of you guys to it because since you're the hardcore fans. But again, thanks for tuning into this week's episode, and have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Laptop closed.
You can close it.
Wait, that doesn't matter. I was just doing you're supposed to zoom in on my hand and, like, close.
okay.
Done.